Hey, what's up? Justin here and welcome to 65 Drums. Today's another electronic drum news segment, the part of the show where I keep you guys up to date on everything happening in the world of electronic drums. And it looks like Alesis has finally come out with their successor to the Alesis Sample-Pad Pro. I've had this for like 6 months and there's a lot of major issues with this pad, and I was really hoping that they would come out with a new version that would fix most of those. And it looks like they have with this brand new sample pad, and it's the first time Alesis has ever made a product that is matching Roland and Yamaha in price. I'm not saying that's a good thing, all I'm saying is that they're that confident. Most of the time, they'll make a pad like this for like 300 bucks, and that's going up against a $700 pad from Roland or Yamaha. So I've gathered up about 15 different major features that you guys should know about. The first one is that it comes with 9 zones. Not a big deal, but that's one more than the previous version that they had. It looked like this was a zone right here, but it's actually just a glowing Alesis logo. So it comes with 9 zones. One extra zone can be really useful because maybe you need to start a metronome for the band. Maybe you need to deaden all the zones. Having one extra pad is actually pretty darn useful. One of its big selling points is that it has a lot of programmable RGB lighting on it. Now you might be wondering why that's even a useful thing. You can change the color on all of them. So let's say you want to have acoustic sounds blue and you want to have electronic sounds pink. Or maybe you want to have kick sound this color and then snare sound this color. What's more interesting is that when you have a sample that's playing, maybe it's 7.5 seconds, and it's hard to time it out in your mind. You can actually set it so the color goes from left to right like a loading screen. So you know exactly when it's starting and you know exactly where it's about to end. So you can time it out in your mind, maybe hit the zone again, move on to the next pad. Sometimes a sample will sort of like go into nothingness and it's kind of hard to hear in your head exactly when the sample is ending. So that's a really useful feature. You can also make it so there's like basically a metronome of how fast that sample is playing, what's the BPM. So let's say you're doing some sort of like solo experimental stuff. You can actually play a groove in the exact BPM of the sample so that when you actually hit the sample, it's not going to be rushing what you were playing before or going too slow. So it's really, really useful that way. So the third thing you need to know about this multipad is that it comes with about 32 gigabytes of onboard storage. Now in the video world, that's not really very much, but in the audio world, that is plenty of room to put on hundreds and hundreds of samples and loops. You have plenty of space there. About 6 gigabytes of that is taken up with their inboard samples and loops. There's about 7,000 sounds inside of there, so you have plenty to work with. You don't have to go to 15 different sample websites and try to download all this stuff, give everybody your email address so you can get spam later. A lot of the sounds that you need are right there in the box. The next thing you need to know is that it comes with an onboard sampler. Now there's a right and left port for this and a dedicated gain knob next to it so you get the volume right, there's no peaking. It kind of reminds me of like different Yamaha drum modules that let you do this. I believe like the DTX 900M lets you do that, and a few other ones. Okay, so the next thing you need to know is that you can actually repitch and chop off bits and pieces of the samples. And just like a lot of other multipads, it has a built-in looper, kind of like a jam man if you play, guitar. So now that you have all these different sounds on board and the ones you downloaded and of course the ones that you sampled yourself, you can also change these sounds with different effects that they have on board inside of the pad. So you have like a master effects, you have 3 different kit effects, and you have 1 compression and EQ processor. It also has 3 trigger inputs. So if you want to add an extra snare, maybe an extra, hi-hats, that's the problem with some pads. You'll see that there's an input, but when you want to use the foot controller so you can do the open and close sound, it doesn't really support that. Thankfully, this one does. It also has 2 dual foot switch inputs. With most different pads and modules, a foot switch will let you switch between kits without having to hit one of the zones. You don't want to waste a zone sometimes on just switching kits, and do other things like switch different effects and stuff. So one other feature that I really like is the fact that it has 2 headphone jacks, one that's 1/8 inch and one that's 1/4 inch. So if you have a headphone jack adapter that goes from 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch, you don't always have to mess with it, potentially losing it. You can just plug in whatever kind of headphone that you have. And just like every drum module and every multipad on Earth, it can be used as a controller for programs such as Ableton. Now this is the setup at my church that I use. So I have this little MIDI controller right here, and I press 1 to start the song and then 1 to start this thing. You can actually assign all that stuff to your multipad. So you're triggering sounds or maybe even entire songs from Ableton or whatever program you want to use. And the last couple of features are mostly performance-based stuff that people using this live will really appreciate. The first is that you can send the click just to the band and not the audience, so that's pretty useful. You can also set one pad where it's only routing to the rest of the band. So everyone else can hear this pad do maybe a countdown, for example. You hit the pad, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you all jump into the song. That's useful. And then finally, it does have 4 outputs, 2 master outputs and then 2 auxiliary outputs. That's how you can actually set it so the click and maybe one pad just goes to the band and not everyone else. And also, if you want to tie this into other devices, it does have MIDI in and out as well as USB MIDI. Okay, so now that you're caught up to date on the basic specs, let me talk about the stuff that I really like and the stuff that I'm kind of worried about. So on the stuff that I like, I really like the fact that it has programmable lights. That might not seem like a big deal to you, but if you're in an environment and you've forgotten what pad is what sound and you have to hit the right one, the fact that you can color all the lights that are electronic based to be one color and all the acoustic sounds to be another color, or the fact that you can have one light go from left to right so you know when the sample is starting and when it's about to end so you can hit a different one. Those are all really nice intuitive features that no other multipad actually has. So that's actually some pretty cool stuff. I like the fact that it has multiple headphone jacks, the fact that it has 2 foot switches, the fact that it has multiple outputs. Those are all really nice pro features. And the fact that you have a lot of sounds and the fact that it has lots more storage than most other multipads out there on the market. So those are all great features. Now on the front of stuff that I'm worried about, Alesis is not known for stuff that's incredibly durable. I know people hate it when I say that, but I've got an Alesis Multipad right here, and the build quality of this is okay, but I would not take this on the road. The build quality of this is not up to par. Now, this is half the price of the brand new one, so my hope is that the build quality is incredible and the feel of the rubber and everything feels a lot better, but I don't know because I haven't tried it out yet. The second thing that I'm worried about, I love the fact that they have a large screen, you can see what the heck's going on, and that allows you to do a lot of different settings that would be kind of hard if you had a stupid little screen like this that I'm always complaining about. My only problem is that I feel like someone's gonna accidentally hit it. Now, you might be the guy that says, I have 100% accuracy, I'm never gonna miss any drum or any cymbal or any multipad ever in my entire life. But let me tell you, when it's dark, when you're on stage, there's a possibility that screen's gonna take a direct hit with a drumstick. I just hope that the screen has a really heavy glass or maybe a plastic covering on it. But I know they've probably done testing when they were doing the development and everything, but this is the largest screen on any multipad in the entire market. So the potential for it being broken is up there higher than most other, pads on the market. On paper, this thing is an absolute spec beast. They've done pretty much everything right on the design side and what they put inside of the module. Even the sounds are great. But I am slightly worried about the durability because they're jumping straight from a $300 multipad that is a little bit questionable. Like, for example, I'd hit this pad and then this zone over here would trigger accidentally. Apparently that's not a problem on the new one, but I just want to see for sure that they're jumping ahead and making something that is on par with, stuff that's been around in the industry for a very long time. So I'm really intrigued, not gonna lie. I'm thinking about buying this. I'm not quite sure yet. I've already spent more money than I wanted to on Black Friday. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What have been your thoughts from all the news coming out about this multipad? I'm really interested to read what you guys think about this stuff. Anyway, have an amazing day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in a few.